Hey everyone, Brianne here with my ABA mentor and back on for another story. Please make sure and like and subscribe to the channel so you can get more content. But today I'm going to talk about my first job as a BCBA and my resignation fail. So I got my first job. I was in Colorado at the time, and when I was looking for BCBA jobs, I interviewed at a center-based program, and that through the course of the interview process, I came to learn that the center that I had applied to didn't necessarily have a traditional position as a BCBA working with the students. And so in true fashion of my unconventional journey, I ended up accepting a position that I was working with building out a play curriculum. The owner of this particular place had a product with play materials and things like that, and it came with scripts and things, and so she was interested in expanding her curriculum in that respect and different ways that kids can play functionally with toys and all of that sort of thing. So I was hired, and I was told, well, when we get an opportunity to bring you on, and give you clients, then we'll do that. But for now, we want you working on this curriculum. And so it made sense to me. I was coming from special education, and I was like, okay, I understand curriculum. I understand curriculum design and development, and, sure, like I can put this together. And so I started on that project, and I, the first several months were fine. I really dove into child development, and I dove into the progression of skills in all these different areas, and in order to play functionally. And I was, building this huge, development map on the wall of my office, and outlining, all the prerequisite skills, all the things that the child needs to know to perform this play action and that play action and imitation and all these things. And so I'm putting together this huge map, and I go home, and at the time, I was with my significant other at the time, and I was like, this is turning into this huge thing, where, I was looking at, the skills leading up to how to implement this curriculum and to educate people on all this stuff. And, he was like, well, you better be asking for more money, because at the time I wasn't working as a BCBA, so I wasn't billing. And so my salary was lower than average. And, we got into it about it, because I was like, no, I'm doing this, and, I'm not working as a BCBA and all that. And so I had a lot of pressure coming towards me in respect to how much money I was making and all of that. And I wasn't unhappy doing the job, but it was just kind of this situation that I was in. And I wasn't able to move into a position where I was, billing and working with kids and all of that. So then I, heard from it enough. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to go and I'm going to ask, for a raise, and I'm going to give these reasons as to why, I need to, make more money in this. And, which, in the big picture, was I ghostwriting? Yes, I was for this curriculum, all of that. And the argument was, well, I'm doing all of this work, and then you're going to go sell this product, right? And then, I have significantly contributed to this product over time, and I I didn't want to be necessarily in a position where I was just like working for free, or, you know, not working for free because I was working, but not at that same level. So, you know, I was like, all right, I'm going to, you know, write up my first email that says, you know, this is why, you know, I need to, you know, have a raise and this and that and whatever, and sent that off. And then, you know, they came back and we talked about my pay range and all this stuff, and that didn't really get very far, and so, you know, I went back home. I was like, this isn't going anywhere. And, you know, it's like, well, you know, you need to demand, if, you know, you're not making more money, then you're going to quit because they, you know, need you to do this project and whatever. And so I was like, you know, feeling the pressure, you know, and it's like real life, you know, pressure from home, and, you know, expectations and this and that. And I was like caught in this space where I went in and I said, all right, I'm going to, you know, ask one more time, and then I'm going to, you know, this isn't going to work out if this, you know, I can't get in this direction. So I basically came down to, you know, I went in the office that day and I was like, all right, you know, we've talked about it. This isn't working. I was like, I'm just going to resign at this point because this is just like too much. And so I sit down at my desk and I'm like shaking. Okay. So I've never like resigned from a professional position, literally like outside of, you know, I'm being like, oh, I'm moving or whatever, but, you know, in a conflict of sorts where I'm basically like saying, okay, you know, you can't meet me here, so this is what I'm doing. And so I sat down and I was so nervous, and I was like typing, you know, I typed the subject line, and then I don't know what happened, but I put in the subject line and I was like, you know, resignation today, like this date, whatever. And then I somehow sent my email completely blank, literally with my name, resignation, and date, and no body to my email whatsoever. And I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, this literally just sent, and the email's completely blank. And I was like mortified. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe if I write this email faster and I send a follow-up email, maybe they'll like skip over the first one and they'll just read my actual resignation in the email, right? Well, that also didn't work out because very shortly after, I was still there and they called, you know, I got a call from the director person and they were like, oh, we got your blank email about you resigning, like what is going on? And then I had to have this super awkward conversation where I was like, well, you know, this isn't working, and, you know, I need to be able to make more money and this and that, whatever. And so they were like, all right, well, we'll do your exit interview, you know, let me get so-and-so on the phone and whatever. And we had, you know, this conversation, and when I was in that meeting, I got, you know, a very important piece of advice. And, you know, you kind of go through life and you get, you know, direct, you know, help from people, but then there's also these times where you get like someone says something to you and then it really kind of affects you, or you remember it or sticks with you for a really long time. And I talked about that in my last video, if you watched that one. But so, you know, we were sitting there talking, and, you know, just the girl that was in charge, she was like, you know, something that I want to tell you is that it is lonely at the top. And, you know, I don't even remember the rest of our conversation, honestly. I mean, it was just kind of like a very generic, basic conversation of like, here's how we're moving forward or whatever. And that stuck out to me, and I was like, it's lonely at the top. Like, I don't know why you're saying this to me right now, because, you know, I don't really understand like where this is coming from. But, in hindsight, as I have processed through the phases of my journey and different places that I have been, personally and professionally, how I have come to realize how true that statement is. And as you are growing and as you are moving in more responsibility, into more leadership, into the next phases of your career, it is 100% true that the further that you get, the less people there are around you. And what I experienced over time through that process was that this will occur in your business experiences. So, you move up to a supervisor, or then you move up to a regional, or you move up to, being a director or things like that. Or, even if you venture out being a business owner, which is like the most lonely place, is there are less and less peers that understand you and understand what you are saying and what you're talking about and the advice or the guidance that you are needing. And there's a lot that goes into just the basic connection between people. And even if you just want to talk about something that you don't really need advice on, but you're like, I just need to talk about this because it's bothering me, or I'm thinking about this, I'm processing this. And so, every phase of that journey, you have to look for people who you can have as part of your network, and then understanding that when you make a shift from BCBA to business owner, those peers that you had in that period of time aren't necessarily the same peers that you will have in the next phase of your journey as a business owner. And then you start seeking, okay, where are these other people, and that is true no matter what level you are at. This is a big transition that people have when they're going through this, is when you're with the same organization and like you're a BCBA and you're moving up to a regional person or a director or leadership position, that those people now no longer look at you like a peer, but now you are in a supervisory role, and that's a really hard transition. It's also difficult for RBTs who, are just starting out, and then they go from, a regular RBT to I'm going to be a lead RBT, and now I'm responsible for leading the people who yesterday we were like buddies, and today now I'm supervising you, or I'm giving you direction, not supervising you, but I'm giving you direction, on what to do as an RBT, or I'm starting, training you on basic things around the center or whatever. Those are big steps. And, the more steps that you make in your career, I have learned that statement that it is lonely at the top is a real, true process and a real, true experience that you will go through or you have gone through. And so, my advice would be, finding people and connecting and networking and, looking for, other people who can relate to you and help you. It's one of the biggest things why I'm so passionate about mentorship and mentoring, because it is literally just someone who can meet you where you're at. And meet you at no matter where you're at in your journey. Someone who has, gotten to a certain point in a journey, knows what you're going through and knows where you are and your pain and your, successes and all of those things. So that is my story for today of my first job as a BCBA and how I epically failed my resignation, but I learned a lot through it. And if you're looking for mentorship, check out the link in the description, and I will see you on the next video.